What is going on, guys? It's your boy, the Entertainment from V-Side, Tan Tiger 01, the Bengal Dragon. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, follow me on Twitter, Tan Tiger 01, Twitch, Entertainment1, follow me on Instagram as well, hit that bell notification button. Welcome to another episode of Casual Cinema Chat, and today I'm going to talk about the Venom 2018 movie. So, if you don't want this movie spoiled, please, do hit that like and subscribe button and find yourself to another video from my channel, that you may like. But this is your warning. If you don't want this movie spoiled, please stop this video right here. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes gives this like a 20-something%. First of all, I don't believe it's a 20-something% movie. It was because watching it casually, it was at best 50% movie. At best. No, actually, I take that back. It's actually maybe like a 45% movie. Now let me explain. First of all, they made Eddie Brock a goofball. They made Eddie Brock a goody two-shoes. They made Eddie Brock someone who just takes it and basically turns the other cheek all the time, and basically is just a pussy. In the actual cartoon or the comics, Eddie Brock is not a pussy. Eddie Brock has anger issues. Okay, that was one of the big... No, that was one big problem here. Okay, because it diverges so much from the actual, sequence of events and the actual lore itself, from the actual story itself. I'm like, you got Venom and you got Riot. You got Venom and Riot, but you didn't get Spider-Man. You didn't get an appearance by War Machine. You didn't get an appearance by Iron Man. Hell, I don't even. In fact, didn't Peter Parker and Eddie Brock work for the same paper? You got basically something that it was taken from the early '90s comics, from the Life Foundation. That was the antagonist here, the Life Foundation. So they mixed that in with how the symbiotes got to Earth. They didn't show the part where the astronauts were extracting them from the rocks, and the rock. One of the astronauts said that the rock started bleeding and shit. I believe it's from one of the cartoons. No, it just showed the spaceship coming in. I'm like, okay. Okay. Going in to watch a movie called Venom. Venom is, you'd say, he's much more darker than he's much more darker than what was shown here. Yeah, I'm not talking about the other villains who became symbiotes and whatnot, but apparently someone from the helicopter, someone from the space shuttle or something like that, the symbiote escaped and it infected some other viable people. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about just I'm talking about Venom himself. Yeah, I believe he's supposed to be because that is what gives him his strength. His strength is given by his rage. And in fact, if you go look at the well, I don't read comics, but you know, if you go look at the actual cartoon, all this bullshit about the symbiotes not being able to bond with, like, you know, particular people and whatnot. The symbiotes at one point were able to bond with Spider-Man. If you remember, that's how you got Black Spider-Man. The symbiotes bonded with Eddie Brock. The symbiote bonded with Cletus Cassidy. The symbiotes bonded with a lot of people. It has nothing to do with like DNA compatibility or DNA incompatibility or all this shit. So that part was absolutely whack. Like the antagonist, like, you know, the story of the symbiotes. Yeah, they tried to retell it, but there were a good amount of inconsistencies. There were good amount of inconsistencies and loopholes. I'm like, okay, so the villain is apparently Riot. Okay, why does Riot need Venom to go with him to get in Rocket? If you remember that scene, that Venom get in Rocket. Why does Riot need Venom? Why doesn't Riot just go alone? And Venom himself said, like, in his world, he was a bit of a loser. And not only that, Venom's this prepubescent acting Eddie Brock's girlfriend, who they're too shy to even admit that they what a kiss is or some. Wait a minute. Wait. Yeah, it's something hit me. In the end, wait a minute. Wasn't Eddie Brock fucking this girl, this blonde girl, Allie or Amy or whatever the fuck her name is? And then they act like, oh, the kiss, yeah, kiss. As if they kissed the first time or some shit. Wasn't there was a scene, you know what, 40%, not 45, 40%. Yeah. There was a scene in the beginning where Eddie Brock, I believe, wakes up in this girl's house, like, you know, had to feed the cat and some shit. You know, before going to do the Eddie Brock show. So once again, that didn't make sense. The Venom costume was good. Even the fact that the Venom is a separate personality living inside Eddie Brock that can have a conversation with Eddie Brock. I did not see this in the actual cartoon. Like, you know, the few episodes I've seen of the actual cartoon, I did not see this conversation with Venom or with Spider-Man or with, like, you know, like Black Spider-Man or with Carnage. Okay, next thing. The symbiotes basically take over a host and starts eating them from the inside. It's a parasite that starts eating them from the inside. I did not see this in any of the things either, any of the cartoons or, like, you know, stuff either. Yeah, it gives them a voracious appetite, but they don't, like, start eating themselves. Because the symbiote is you could say something like a mutagen from the turtles that can be reversed. It basically like a split personality type. Not a split personality. It's more like a exaggerated rage personality type of deal. It's something that exaggerates your rage and lets your rage take over you. Okay. So, I mean, that part was pretty good, but no, that part was pretty decent, but it could have been done so much better. Like I said, this movie was not dark enough. This movie was very childish. And yes, a movie like this deserves exposition. And that, like, even the symbiote said that, like, Venom uh, began to take a liking to Eddie Brock or some shit, and because of Eddie Brock, he's not gonna destroy the planet or some shit. But the symbiote has no problem taking over the girlfriend's body. Like I said, once again, they're giving the symbiote this this blobby goo. They're giving this blobby goo a personality. Why are they giving the blobby goo a personality? And in fact, the Life Foundation, if I'm not mistaken, they created symbiotes, as guards or some shit, for their protection. So it's not as so. Like I said, there was, and yes, I've heard some of the things that there was some inconsistencies in terms of scene transitions. Let me give you an example. There's one scene where Eddie Brock climbs a really tall tree really fast. The very next scene, he's getting an MRI. I'm like, hey. What's going on? How the fuck did he get from the top of the tree to the MRI scanner? Then there's another scene. This is in the beginning. Okay, the Eddie Brock walks in after the interview and is told that he lost his job. Right after he just exits the building, his girlfriend finds all the time to get from her workplace to come here and say that I loved you, like in the past tense, and I lost my job as well because of you. Yeah, insert they took her thing here, whatever. Yeah, from South Park, they took our jobs. Yeah. So I'm like, wait a minute, where's the? At least have one scene that actually explains this, from the girl's perspective, saying that, there's a lot of bad press, and sorry, we can't handle that bad press, we have to let you go. And, someone handing this girl her resignation papers or some shit, her termination papers or some shit. There's, where were these subtle sort of scene building things? A scene building, what do you call it? Moments, or scene transitioning moments. So, like I said, this was a good distraction movie, I would say, but they tried to rewrite Venom. They tried to rewrite the origin story of Venom a lot. A lot. One of the few things they got right, that at least Venom was not bitten by a radioactive lobster or some shit. Had a radioactive cockroach stuck up Eddie Brock's ass or some shit. Some weird, nonsense. At least they got, the origins of the symbiote part right, but then they gave the symbiote and an actual backstory. They turned Eddie Brock into a pussy. They turned the antagonist something Jax or whatever. He made him look like a bigger pussy without the symbiote. Even when he's trying to sound sinister and like conniving, he sounds like a pussy. He sounds like someone who's gonna stand outside a fashion show or some shit and like ask the audience if they want to get their hand stamped so that they can come back again or some shit. If they leave the building. That's what the antagonist looks like in human form. So overall, it had some good action scenes, but overall, this is just, like I said, an upgraded Michael Bay movie. This is not as bad as a Michael Bay movie, but this was not a good movie. 4 out of 10. The action sequence, they're pretty good, but this deserved to be much longer than it was. And there was some good exposition that was required. Especially once you realize what the real Venom was like. Watch this movie and go back and watch the Spider-Man animated series and all the appearances of a Black Spider-Man and Venom and Carnage. You'll see exactly what I mean. They took the badassery out of Venom. For the most part. They turned him into a voraciously hungry dumbass. No, you know what? I got it. They turned Venom into Dog from Fallout New Vegas Dead Money without being compelled to master. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure you will agree with me. Alright, that's about it. 4 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought about this movie in the comment section below. And as always, hit that like and subscribe button. It's your boy, the Amsterdam 1 3 side, the Bengal Dragon, signing out.